evening, everyone, and welcome to the 24th Annual Residential Housing Association President's Award Dinner. I'm Sarah Matthewson. I'm an SVP of Operations with Avalon Bay Communities and the 2015 President-elect for the Rental Housing Association. I am your MC tonight, and I'm honored to be here with you today. I hope you enjoyed the format of the evening and enjoyed the reception beforehand in lieu of dinner. And please stay afterwards to network, enjoy the venue, and of course enjoy the dessert buffet after the award ceremony. So following the awards, do we have there it is. We were saddened to hear this summer of the passing of Bob Grant in his 87th year. Bob was a board member of the Rental Housing Association for many years, and he served as the president of the RHA in 1991. A true gentleman, Bob was admired by all who knew him for his integrity, intelligence, and professionalism. Please stand for a moment of silence as we remember all of those who are not with us tonight. Thank you. Tonight's program, be seated. Tonight's program would not be possible without the generosity of our elevated sponsors. So thank you to the Wind Companies, Keith Construction, Peabody Properties, Avalon Bay. Everybody's being so quiet, must be the venue. Just behaved. Chestnut Hill Realty, Swirling Milton Winnick Public Insurance Company, and then our adjusters, the Claremont Companies, Beacon Communities, CBRE New England, First Resource Companies, Newmark Grubb Knight and Frank, Equity Residential, so quiet, the architectural team of Mass Housing. Please join me in a round of applause for our elevated sponsors. I'd like to take a brief moment to acknowledge some of the dignitaries who are with us this evening, as well as the Rental Housing Association leadership, special guests, and our honorees. Now, when I call your name, you have to stand up. Don't be shy. We have Tom Gleason, the Executive Director of Mass Housing. Where's Tom? Where is he? There he is. We have Joe Finn, the President and Executive Director of the Massachusetts Housing and Shelter Alliance. Where's Joe? You see him? He's being shy. We have Susan Gittleman, the Executive Director of Benai Birth Housing. You could stand for us. There she is. We have Buddy Christopher, the Commissioner of Inspectional Services for the City of Boston. It's Buddy. Richard Mason, the Deputy Director of Lending for the Mass Housing Partnership. You here? Former Senator Jack Hart. Yeah. And Greg Vassell, the CEO of the Greater Boston Real Estate Board. Say how? Where's Greg? In addition, we have our 2015 recipient of the President's Award for Excellence in Public Service, Mayor Marty Walsh. Okay. And the 2015 recipient of the President's Industry Award, Larry Curtis. Thank you. Next, I'd like to invite the 2015 RHA Board of Directors to please stand. Now, I know who you are, so you have to stand up. Board of Directors, RHA. Thank you. All right. And please stay standing, please. And at this point, I'd also like to, the past presidents of the RHA to join you. Joe McPhee, Limbora, Karen Fishwill, Richard Henkin, Gordon Pulsifer, George McHugh, Chris Riley, Bill Wallinger, Tom Beaton, Andrew Chabin, Bill Cargman, Judith Epstein, Deanne Dolbin, Bill DeShino, and Ed Zucker. Thank you for your service. Now I'd like to acknowledge past winners of the Industry Excellence and Excellence in Public Service Awards. Please also stand so we can honor you. Bob Cargman. You here? The Claremont Companies. Robert Verrier. Is he here? Bill Wallinger. There he is. Bruce Pursley. Dean Dolbin. Tom Gleason. John Keith. I know he's here. There he is. Ed Zucker. Back again. And Arthur Wynn. Where's he? There he is. We present the Excellence in Public Service Award annually to an individual who best exemplifies excellence in the public sector, benefiting the rental housing community. I can't think of a better time to acknowledge and thank this year's Public Service Award winner. And at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Gilbert Wynn, our current president. Thank you.
Hi, good evening, everybody. So first, I wanted to say this is somewhat familiar ground to me. As when I was 17 years old, I was a Senate page for Senator Kennedy. And so I've been close to these surroundings before, doing important things like bringing water or water with ice or sparkling water to the senator. Very important jobs for the government. And one story comes to mind. There are people that have been at the Capitol know that there's a subway system that runs under the Capitol between the different office buildings, and the senators get to use that. And sometimes the pages follow if they're doing important work, like I was describing, like carrying the mail or something. And I introduced myself to Senator Kennedy. I'm your page, Gilbert Wynn, very honored to meet you. And he said, "Come on, Gil." And we ended up going underneath the Capitol and sitting on a tram with Senator Kennedy, I'm in the middle, and Senator Dodd on my other side. And if you know, and we all do, the width of all three people involved and the width of the tram, that was an intimate experience. And I was minding my own business as a 17-year-old, and what were they talking about? I'm sure at some point, the important matters of government, but at that time they were talking about what they were doing that weekend. And at 17 years old, I knew I was not old enough to hear that repartee. But tonight, we're here to honor two people that I think any age group is suitable for, Larry Curtis and Mayor Walsh. So I just want to... Our first recipient has a difficult job. I think a lot of people in this room think they have a difficult job as they take care of their communities, of a couple of hundred families, dealing with the things that happen every night or every day, all hours of the day, to take care of their communities. The mayor takes care of a somewhat larger community, and you can multiply those problems and those issues that he has to deal with by the same factor. He's done an excellent job. And in the realm of rental housing, he's been a special ally of our industry in terms of creating a faster permitting process, cutting through the red tape at, as the mayor was talking about earlier, at ISD by appointing the right people, making sure that affordable housing is not just words on a piece of paper, but something that will actually get built, making middle-income housing a priority, asking the tough questions and demanding the right answers on important issues like labor rates. This is a mayor who doesn't do anything in a half manner. He always leads by example. An example of that would be his early buy-in to the national initiative and leadership to end veterans' homelessness. And that in and of itself shows how much of really, frankly, a good guy that Mayor Walsh is. And I'm really happy to introduce Mayor Walsh tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gilbert, for that great introduction. And Gilbert was talking about being a page of Senator Kennedy, and we're finding out where he sits, and he sits right there with the purple tie there. So one row back, that's where Senator Kennedy sat, so sit up straight. I want to thank you very much. I want to thank Sarah as well, and congratulations on President-elect of your company. I want to thank Greg Vassell as well. I've known Greg and worked with Greg for many years in the Greater Boston Real Estate Board as a state representative and now as mayor of the city of Boston. I want to thank John Lafferty and everyone for this honor. It's such a great honor. I know that Senator Jack Hart was mentioned earlier. Jackie's a friend of mine. We came into the House of Representatives together. I don't know if he snuck out, but if he's here, well, good luck. See you later, Jack. You know, when I started to look into research this award, I started to think about the past award recipients, and one of the recipients is a hero of mine, Senator Joe Moakley, and I was honored to get the same award that Congressman Moakley received. Congressman Moakley was a congressman for this very district, and then Gilbert informed me that I was the first mayor to receive this, mayor of Boston. I looked over the list. I think I'm the only mayor of any place to get this, so I want to thank you very much. Public service is about partnerships. The Greater Boston Real Estate Board and the Rental Housing Association are critical partners to our city and to the future growth of our city. And it's the growth in the housing market is one of the most important and most critical areas that we face as a city. Your members maintain updated housing stock, and I want to thank you for that. You get homes for people. And we have this conversation every single day in City Hall. As we grow and as we look for investment in our city, it's important for us to make sure that people who come here and work here have a place to live. And I want to thank you, all of you in this room, for that. Larry Curtis is a great example. Congratulations, Larry, to this recognition tonight. It's great to be sharing the same dais with you tonight. I want to also congratulate your family that are here tonight. I know that they're all very proud. I see them all beaming. And Larry was one of the members that served on my housing task force along with Greg, and I want to thank them for that. The housing task force that we talked about in city government was really addressing the issue of housing in the city. You know, there's been a lot of talk, and there had been task force in the past that made recommendations, but when we talked about this task force, it was about how do we really come up with a plan that we can make a difference. And just some of the highlights of our plan, it's a historic plan. It calls for 53,000 units of new housing by the year 2030. And that's in addition to the market rate production that's happening in our city right now. It sets an ambitious goal for middle income and affordable housing units in our city, but also college dormitories, and making sure that we have the complete landscape of housing in our city. We've gotten off to a great start. Last year alone, we set a record for housing starts with over 4,000 housing permits permitted, and we're excited about that. And this year, through the month of November, we've already broken last year's record of 4,080. We've set a record for new housing construction completions in 1 year, 3,750 units of housing completed. So we are on top of where we need to be. That's 90% ahead of last year's pace. This year alone, we've permitted 1,200 new dorm beds in the city of Boston, the most in 8 years in our city. So as we talk about the plan, it really got a lot of interest and involvement, and it's because of people like Larry and Greg and other folks that sat on this, on this partnership moving forward, because we sent a very strong message that we need it now. We need housing now, and we need it more than ever. Access to housing is one of the greatest challenges that our residents face, and certainly in this economy that we have. It's challenging because the demand is so great, and that means that the challenge is born from our collective success as a city. So as we grow as a city and as we look at our population, the population in Boston right now is 656,000 people. We have the largest population in our city since the 1960s. The plan, or the goal says by the year 2030, we're going to have 700,000 people in our city. If we continue to grow at the rate we're growing, within the next 8 years, we'll be at 700,000 people. In order to grow as a city and be successful as a city and keep the talent here that we want to keep here that goes to our colleges and our universities, we have to continue to work together and create more housing opportunities. That's really what it comes down to. We know that we want to make sure everyone who wants to contribute in our city can live in our city as well. We have young people coming back, and we're looking at different ways of trying to make our city exciting. As Gilbert mentioned, Buddy Christopher, the head of inspectional services, has made some adjustments, and those adjustments are beneficial to building more and creating more opportunities for housing as well as development. But we also are looking at ways of how do we make our city exciting so young people that go to school here say that when they think about where they go next, so often we used to hear the words New York or Silicon Valley. We're not hearing that, we're hearing Boston. But in order to continue that growth, we need to make sure that we meet the production needs of the people that want to stay here in the city. We want to make sure we continue to incentivize middle class and low income housing production in our city, because that's ultimately the long-term solution. We have folks who are having a hard time making their rents end meet right now, and many of you know that. So we're also looking for challenges, looking at the challenge of displacement. And what do we do when we're losing people out of the city, people who stay here and have put a lot of time in? So we're working with the property owners and the needs of property owners and come up with strategies so we can continue to have good, strong, positive policy coming out of city government. So I just want to end by thanking you. This is an honor to be recognized here tonight. I certainly take this very seriously. When you think about getting recognitions as an elected official, many of them, some mean more than others. And this means a lot, because what it tells me is that this award isn't about me. This award is about the people that work with me every single day, that we're on the right track, and we're going to continue to move forward. As we look to master plan our city and Imagine Boston 2030, as we look at our housing plan, as we look at everything we do, it's about the future of our city. Not one person can do it alone. So I want to thank all of you for your contributions to this great city. I also want to thank all of you for your contributions, not just to the city of Boston, but to the region of the greater Boston area, because what happens in Boston happens throughout the region, and we have to make sure we continue to grow as a region. So thank you, and have a great evening. Thank you. I didn't know you had the long bag. Keep that Scott Pickle in line. Keep him around. Keep him around. And Mike Roberts, yellow.
Thank you, Mayor Walsh. Please, another round of applause for our mayor. So we have a introduction coming up here, but I just wanted to go off script a little bit. So the Rental Housing Association's Industry Excellent Award is presented annually to an individual or company within the rental housing industry, exemplifying the excellence in rental housing through community and civic involvement, professionalism in all aspects of multifamily development, ownership, and management. The award this year, of course, goes to Larry. Larry Curtis, everyone in this room knows Larry. Anyone in Boston really knows Larry. Larry is, of course, a friend and a partner. I've known Larry almost my whole life. And I'll say, Larry's a dreamer, and Larry is somebody who actually gets results. Now, some people who are dreamers dream about throwing the winning touchdown in the Super Bowl. Some dream of building beautiful castles in far-off places. Larry dreams of receiving tax credits. And he does, and he gets it done. Larry is, of course, a great family man, a great friend, very philanthropic, very involved in the industry. As I said, he doesn't just say the things, he actually gets them done. So when he sits on the National Historic Trust, or he sits on as the president of GREB, he actually changes policy and he actually helps the industry. And with all the nice things I could say about Larry, I would say the following is actually true and impossibly to believe. I now get to introduce his better half, and that's Marla Curtis.
Thank you. Okay. It's my privilege to tell you a little bit about this year's recipient of the President's Award. I was asked to do this introduction because I have known him longer than anyone else here. I actually think I am the only one present who knew him before he sported his signature mustache. My husband, the love of my life, Larry Curtis. Raised in New York, he received a Bachelor's of Architecture from the Cooper Union for the advancement of science and art, and received a master's degree in architecture and urban design from Harvard. He returned to Harvard as a lecturer in 2014 and has been a guest lecturer in the business, law, and design schools. While his educational pedigree is notable and his work currently involves sophisticated financial analysis and complex government programs, his business acumen began in the days he spent in his father's law office from the time he was young, listening to local builders involved in real estate transactions. He has developed more than 10,000 units of housing and brought under management approximately 90,000 units of housing. But he sees these numbers in a very unique way. Last week at the ribbon cutting for Malden Mills Phase 2, he was quoted as touting the number of families he puts to bed every night, and that is truly the way he feels. As the president and managing partner of Wind Development, his focus has been on creating affordable housing and historic rehabilitation. He has brought new life and purpose to many beautiful historic structures, which have in turn revitalized their surrounding communities. I would like to share 3 lessons I have learned from Larry. Number 1, despite popular belief, there are more than 24 hours in a day. Confirmation of this can be found in his daily list of tasks, which no human being could possibly accomplish in a mere 24-hour span. His inexhaustible energy is a key to his success. Number 2, if you undertake an endeavor, you must be all in. Larry applies this to everything he does. Given his interests in affordable housing and historic preservation, he recently, to name just a few, co-founded New Lease, a nonprofit that provides a clearinghouse of affordable housing units for families staying in shelters and motels throughout Massachusetts, is involved with DHCD's task force on workforce housing, as well as the National Multi-Housing Council's task force on workforce housing. And he has been chairman of the Greater Boston Real Estate Board and the National Housing and Rehabilitation Association, and a member of the Board of Directors for the National Multi-Housing Council. Similarly, in the area of historic preservation, he is on the board of the National Trust for Historic Preservation and is on the Advisory Council of Historic Boston. He has devoted endless hours of his time to these commitments. 3, the third and most important lesson of all, be kind. Our sons, Meade, David, Jared, and Justin, attended Phillips Academy, Andover, whose motto is non sibi, not for oneself. But they really did not need to have that message hammered into them, as Larry embodies this message. Our new daughter-in-law, Melissa, commented to me how inherent in that message is that you need to aspire to do something more for the world. Perhaps it is because Larry still identifies himself as the kid from Massapequa that shoveled snow, delivered newspapers, cleared shopping carts, ran a sign painting business, and held down just about every job available from the time he was in middle school that allows him to understand others. Or maybe it is because he just loves people. Larry, congratulations from Team Curtis. We are all so proud of you, and I love you always. Oh, I was supposed to invite everybody to enjoy a short video.
Larry Curtis is a happy man.
An eternal optimist.
Brilliant, determined, focused.
Resourceful, resilient, relentless.
Compassionate. Larry has an amazingly big heart.
Committed. Everything Larry does, he's all in.
Larry Curtis is passionate about two things from my perspective: people and housing.
The need for affordable housing is so acute in Massachusetts, and Larry has played a huge role in providing homes for people to live in for decades.
Affordable housing is important to Larry because he loves helping people.
People are the currency by which he calculates the value of the work that he does. Every project has a triple bottom line element to it. They must be good projects for wind development, but they're good for the communities that they serve, and they're good for the people whose lives they touch.
Well, in our business, we like to say we do well while doing good. And Larry has demonstrated a phenomenal capacity to do that.
He works incredibly hard. He wakes up basically every day at 5 in the morning. He's working from 6 in the morning to 9 p.m. at night nonstop, even when he's on vacation.
Larry is passionate about giving back.
One of Larry's passion projects is the nonprofit that he founded called New Lease, a brilliant idea in a way to take government out of a process that wasn't working great and put it back into the hands of the private sector, which can handle it more efficiently and more cost effectively.
Larry joined the board of the National Trust for Historic Preservation almost 5 years ago. He understands the role that historic buildings can play in revitalizing communities and jump-starting economies.
Larry actually is the premier developer of adaptive reuse historic buildings. He rebuilt the entire Baker Chocolate Complex, brought back that whole community from shuttered windows with no people to a vibrant community. And he does that in Lawrence, Lowell, in different parts of the country.
Larry Curtis is a great leader because he understands what makes people tick, and he also understands what it takes to get the job done. Larry and I were involved in a battle to revive rent control, and we were meeting with our opposition. We walked into the room. Larry walked up to this woman, gave her the biggest hug and kiss I have ever seen in my life. And he walks back to me and he winks with a little twitch of the mustache and said, "It always helps to start a meeting by hugging one's opposition."
No one works harder, no one is more determined or focused. Larry leads because his people follow him into the battle. He leads by example.
He has a great balance in his life. He has a great focus on his work. He has a great focus on his family, and he has a great focus on community.
Larry has his whole life for a day on one piece of paper, folded up, tri-fold in his pocket. And if you're on that piece of paper for that day, you better believe that he's going to be talking to you about something that's important to him.
Larry's a funny guy. He keeps a book, and there are quotes of people in his book.
And when you say something to Larry, he writes it down. And he calls them Bobisms or whoever says something to him.
I have been the recipient of him writing down my quotes and then having them come back at me.
Everyone knows my dad has 3 rules. Meet one new person every day. Never touch the same piece of paper twice. He's definitely broken that one. And never say the words never, won't, can't. He always gets it done.
Congratulations, Larry. You deserve it. You're better than anybody else in the business, and it's about time.
Larry, congratulations.
Larry, thanks for being a great partner since 1988.
Congratulations, Larry. It is a great privilege to be able to say some nice things about you, and it's easy to do that.
There is nobody better than you, my friend, to get this award.
Larry, congratulations from all your friends at the National Trust for Historic Preservation.
Larry, we've done so many deals over the years, and there's probably a story for every one of the deals. And of course, then there's Marla, the best partner in the best deal of your life. Thank you for letting me share part of it with you.
Larry Curtis, I love you. And just because you received the award this year doesn't mean that you're old and now it's time to retire. I expect you to stick around for years to come.
Congrats, Dad.
Well done, Dad. You deserve it, and I love you.
Congratulations. We love you.
I'm so proud of you. A huge congrats to my dad, my mentor, a true leader by example.
Do this first and then you'll speak. Do you want to come on to the other side? There you go. Congratulations, Larry. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Okay.
Wow. Quite an evening. Thank all of you. Thank you, Mayor, for your kind words about me and the industry that builds affordable and workforce housing. Thank you, Marla. I love you. Thanks, kids, children, big children. Most of you know me as a developer. Some of you know me as a friend or even a landlord. But all of you know me, I hope, as someone who is passionate, driven, compassionate, too. Let's call it Larry Curtis, the making of a leader, step one. I think I turned some limitation into virtue. As Marla noted, how does a middle-class kid from Long Island grow to become a recognized leader in Boston's real estate and apartment industry? Well, I'll give you a short rundown. It starts at age 12. Larry wanted to be a builder. You rarely hear that term anymore. John Keith is a builder. A builder. It was a proud term to want to be. I read every conceivable book on building, on construction, and as Marla noted, I had every job I could get. I saved money. I saved a lot of money, and I bought a house. I bought a house at age 18. I fixed it up, I painted it, I did the repairs, I did it all myself. I sold it, I made a lot of money. I did it again and again and again. I went to architecture school, as Marla noted, Cooper Union in New York. It was free, tuition free. It's the reason why I went there. I continued throughout school buying and selling housing. I found architecture as a way to teach me how to see the world, how to make me more aware of the world and make it a better place. At age 22, my dad got me a book. My dad, the attorney, Maximizing Tax Benefits from Sophisticated Real Estate Transactions. I kid you not. I read it like I read, or supposed to read, the Talmud. Off to graduate school to study planning. It brought me to Boston, actually Cambridge, to Harvard, as Marla noted, with my new classy wife. We got married very young, age 23 and 22. How could that be? How could you make it work? We had no money. We moved to a new city, little money, and when I moved to Massachusetts, we moved to Massachusetts. We literally knew not one person in the state of Massachusetts. We knew each other. That's it. Literally not one person. And as Meade noted, he credits me, but it's really my dad, meet one new person a day. Meet one new person a day. I took that to heart. Met a lot of people over many years. I had a couple jobs out of school, bad jobs. The worst thing you can get out of school is a good job. Get a bad job. It forces you to become an entrepreneur. I found a 40B deal. We all know what that is, of housing, a piece of land. I was introduced to Arthur Wynne at the age of 28 by Howard Cohen, then a lawyer at Mintz-Levin, now a prominent developer with his partners at the Beacon Companies. I became Arthur's partner, his very junior partner. That changed quickly. I had a knack to bring in business. It came to me, easy, not really. I literally made 5,000 cold calls over 3 years, 5,000 calls. I kept lists, graphs, charts, scraps of paper, the same system that I use today. The same system. Rafi knows that, Pat knows that, Liz knows that. They can't believe I still use this system. It works. I brought in to win most of the business. The used housing business, the bond business, the failed condo business, and yes, the historic business, which I'm most proud of. I worked 7 days a week for 7 years. It was easy. I woke up most days, as Justin noted in the video, at 5 a.m., exercised, started working. It's not what you do between 9 and 5 that counts. The mayor certainly knows this. It's what you do between 5 and 9, both a.m. and p.m. I started in industry affairs and trade groups and continued to devote all of my non-work time to my family, all of it. I didn't golf, I didn't play tennis, all of it went to the family. You see, very early I met Bob Verrier. Bob's here somewhere tonight, hopefully. He gave me some great advice. Every minute I spend with my kids now, I will get back tenfold later on, and boy, was he right. I have quirks. Marla noted some of them, some in the video. I keep these quotes. Most know this of me. I have for 39 years. You're all in it. The namesake of this institution is in it, Edward Kennedy. The work goes on, the cause endures, the hope still lives, and the dream shall never die. My book, entitled Don't Shut Up, is in the works. It's been in the works for 39 years, and it will soon be published. I read a book a week unrelated to business. I think I'm the only one to read Michael Putziger's stepson's book on Sergeant Shriver, a Kennedy brother-in-law that founded the Peace Corps. As Marla noted, I like being nice. It makes life fun. I love my coworkers. I really do. Liz and Rachel and Adam and Dave and Mike. They are the ones responsible for our joint success. These traits allow anyone to bridge the tension between the role of the individual and the role of the community. As Arthur says, to care that much. Think about it, to care that much. To dedicate oneself to causes bigger than you. To lead at places like CJP and New Lease and NHRA and NMHC and National Trust. And my most favorite of all, the Greater Boston Real Estate Board, truly my most favorite of all. The Rental Housing Association and the Greater Boston Real Estate Board are about compassion and about dedication, and Greg Vassell and John Lafferty and their team, I thank you for our involvement, my involvement with you, and your great work over so many years. To still be, with all the success, all the caring, the considerate, the compassionate human being that I wanted to be a great husband, a father, a partner, and a great friend. To repair the world, in my religion, Judaism, to keen olam, to contribute to solving some of society's problems, its pressing problems, like affordable housing, like homelessness, like workforce housing, like saving historic icons. On that, I've always been fascinated with ruins and fragmented objects. I wrote poems on historic rehab in high school. I really did, in high school. I owe so much of this recognition tonight to others. I've had great role models for 30 years now at the Wind Company. Our chairman, in the video, Michael Putziger, has taught me more than anything to find balance in life. In John Keith, and in indirectly Oscar, his father, John says, "Call me stupid, I go meet people in person." I proudly go meet people in person. It may mean driving 150 miles. I'd rather meet him in person than do an email or a telephone call. Thank you, John. To Arthur Wynn, my sometimes tennis partner, my forever noodler and loyal partner. He built the largest affordable management company in the country. And Arthur, you should be so proud. In John Gahan, where's John? Up on top. Through encouragement, as my lawyer, our lawyer for several decades now, and dedication to knowing the details, knowing the programs, knowing the documents. John, thank you for your friendship and being the greatest friend of Wynn. Just like a modern painting, every component is dependent on its relationship to another. This has been the case for my career leading Wynn Development Company. Property management working synergistically with development, development working hand in hand with finance, all of us working in tune with Arthur and Michael, and now Gilbert. Gilbert, CEO of the Wynn Companies. Gilbert now sets the direction and provides the working capital that will enable uncalculated continued success. But it's Sue Malatester and Bill Wallinger and Deirdre Curring and Adam Stein, along with their teams, that really continue to carry us forward. You see, we are all deserving of this award. We really are. It's really an award for all of us, for our industry's fundamental capacity to do good, to help people and families. People and families with good jobs and normal paychecks who deserve the quality housing we all build. For elderly families, for immigrants, for working families, to enable us to live right, to enable them to live right, to enable all of us to live right. John F. Kennedy said in his famous Ich bin ein Berliner speech, freedom has many difficulties and democracy is not perfect. He went on to say that we can join all people together. That's what we do when we build quality housing for all people, join people together. That's what Mayor Walsh is also all about. With all of these accomplishments, the best thing I ever built was the relationship with my wife, Marla. Marla, I love you. We produced the greatest gift of all. 4 wonderful children, Justin, Jared, David, Mead, and now Melissa. Mom and Dad are so proud of you all, and we trust you too can lead our community and build a better future for all. You see, I became the builder that I always wanted to be. Love always. Thank you.
Larry, there's one more surprise here for you. If Debbie Backus and some of the members of the board of Castle Square could join us.
We're all very pleased to be here today. To support Larry Curtis. A lot of you know that the Castle Square Tenants Organization is partners with Wynn Development in the ownership of Castle Square. We've worked very closely with Larry Curtis since 2008 to transform the Castle Square community into what it is today, which is an amazing property, and also trailblazers. In 1992, CSTO and Wynn Development became Trailblazers, the first resident organization to own property with a private developer. And during that 5-year process, we learned a lot from Arthur Wynn, which prepared us for Larry Curtis. In 2008, at a time when the economy collapsed, there was no financing anywhere to be found, Working closely with Larry Curtis, we were able to get it done and raise the necessary funding to be the first multifamily sustainable housing development in the country of 500 units. And we really appreciate the work that Larry has done for us and continues to do for the Castle Square Tenants Organization. Larry does not treat us as residents, as tenants. He treats us as true business partners in the decision-making policy in Castle Square. And for that, we really appreciate the support and commitment that he has given us to be excellent resident association in the city of Boston and throughout the United States. So on that note, we had a special award made for Larry Curtis.
Thanks.
Larry?
Should I read it?
Yep. This award is given from the Castle Square Tenants Organization.
Thank you, Debbie.
Yep.
The leader who shares experience, ensures a bright future, and leaves a legacy of success. Lawrence H. Curtis, December 2015. Debbie, and thank you. Thank you. We love you.
Oh, wait, one more. We got to pose. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, guys. Oh, the award? Thank you.
Thank you, Larry.
Thanks, Gary.
We love you, Larry.
Great, thank you.
Another round of applause for our two recipients tonight, and winners. And also, before we go, I just wanted a deserved round of applause for the RHA staff led by John Lafferty for putting this together tonight. That's really great. So that concludes our program tonight. As you leave, in the area that we did our cocktail party, there's going to be dessert and coffee, so please stick around and enjoy the surroundings and have a great night. Thank you.